The treble viol. A surprisingly adaptable instrument, really very accessible to play. The viol was introduced in Italy around 1500, about a generation before the violin. In fact, viol is the source of the word violin. Violino was a small viol. And you can see why. The viol is fatter, although I could basically play it under my chin like a violin. We simply don't. We don't do that. In fact, the viol is played, all of them, including the treble viol, are played here between the legs, and that's why this instrument is often called the viola da gamba, which means the viol of the legs. This is a treble. There are also tenor and alto viols, as well as a bass viol. The upright bass or string bass or contrabass or double bass, in other words, the stand-up bass that we now still play, of course, it is too big to fit between your legs, so it's played usually standing up. But that instrument is closely related to the viol family, which basically flourished between 1500 and 1700 and was mostly out of fashion by the beginning of the 18th century. The violin family replaced it gradually over time, but it's not true that the violin family is a descendant of the viol family. It's really a lot more complicated as a history than that. The biggest difference in terms of playing, obviously, is that the instrument is held here like a cello is held, but we have frets. Very much like a guitar, in fact, very, very much like a guitar, we have 6 strings and frets, and the relationships between the strings are not in fifths like the violin family, but they are mostly in fourths, just like the guitar. That's a fourth, that's a fourth, here's a third, here's a third, and here's a third. So in the guitar, it's between strings 2 and 3 that we have a major third, and on the viol it's between strings 3 and 4 that we have a major third. So guitarists can almost transpose all of their chords to this instrument, but they'll have to make one adjustment. It also happens that G, C, E, A is exactly like the tenor ukulele, and very much like the soprano and concert ukuleles, except that this string, this G, would be an octave higher on those instruments. So if you know the ukulele, or vice versa, you can transfer your knowledge very easily back and forth. The viol has a style of bow which somewhat resembles a violin family bow, except some of the shaping details are different, including when the violin bow is at tension, it will look in relation to its hair approximately like this. And as you can see on this bow, which is a viol bow, bringing it to that shape where it curves in toward the hair will leave the hair far too loose for playing. Viol bows and violin and other violin family bows are played with rosin. You should own and use rosin. The basic rule is approximately every 2 hours of playing, you want to re-rosin your bow, and that's basically saw up and down. You don't really want to touch the hairs, but we do touch the hairs on the viol family bow. I'll tell you about that in a second, but you can see that when the bow is correctly tensioned, this bow actually arcs away from the hair and then back at the middle. And so you should go ahead and look for that kind of tension. And this is basics on how to play the viol. We will use position playing. Please see the video for ukulele, guitar, bass, and treble viol for the basic rules of position playing. We will use that as a basic rule and a basic practice for playing this instrument. Any other questions? Let's talk.